Welcome to Human Potential at Work, the show where we explore social impact, inclusion, and empowerment of everyone, including persons with disabilities. Get ready to be inspired, hear success stories, and learn tips and principles for bringing out the best in everyone. And now, here's your host and CEO of Rue Global Impact, Deborah Rue.
Hello, everyone. My name is Deborah Rue, and this is Human Potential at Work. I'm really excited about my guest today. Her name is Sarah Kovac, and she has such an impressive background, and she's also a mother. And Sarah is the editor of the newly launched accessibility section at Reviewcom. Now, that's part of Gannett's consumer product review site that is part of the USA TODAY Network, which is very cool. But it's really amazing that we now have somebody that's going to look at accessibility, assistive technology, and adaptive tools. It's incredible for our community of over 1.3 billion people. Wow, I'm so excited. And I went to Sarah and said, please, can I interview you? Because this is big news. So I also want to take a moment to do a visual description. I have gray and purple hair. I have on a black scarf and a black sweater, and I have very proudly Billion Strong logo behind me because we're so proud to build Billion Strong as an identity organization. But it's so important that we support each other's work. And when we see leaders stepping up and really doing something that can change our lives in a positive way all over the world, we want to support them. So I'm just thrilled to have Sarah here. And Sarah's team was so supportive behind her. Special shout out to Haley, who's so wonderful. But Sarah, let's start with you. Tell the audience who you are, because you have a very impressive background. Applause.
Oh, thank you. How do you sum yourself up? Yes, I am a mother of three. I have a daughter who has type 1 diabetes, and that's a very new thing in our lives. So lots of lost sleep over that and staying tuned into that. I had no idea what it was until this summer. I myself have a disability called AMC, and my arms don't work so great. So I use my feet and legs to do things that arms and hands would do, including type and use the computer. And as I'm typing and using the computer, I edit for the new accessibility vertical, which is so exciting to me for a number of reasons, and I'm sure we'll get into all that. But I'm a published author. I've done some inspirational speaking. Gosh, I feel like I've just done a little bit of everything. And in the disability and tech review world, I was a smart home editor before I came over to accessibility. And I think there's a ton of overlap in those two categories. And so it was a really natural step for me to take. That's me. That's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, but there's so much more to her. Did she spend on television? Yeah, she really do check her out. But more importantly, let's support her work, because Reviewed as making this a commitment to us. And so we all need to get behind it. We all need to get behind it. And it's very exciting. Tell us a little bit about it, because I, being an older woman, I've always liked consumer reports.
Mm-hmm.
I shop with computer. I always like, and I'm very interested when I buy something like on Amazon or anywhere else. I'm one of those consumers that always checks the reviews. I look at the worst reviews, and I look at the best reviews, and I look at the ones in the middle, because I can tell when people, I trust people's reviews more than the product's reviews. And so I think this is amazing that you're doing this. And I know, of course, any of us can use Review.com. It's for all of us. It's not just for us here. Sarah and I happen to be here in the United States. It's available on the internet. So this is big news. I'm just so thrilled about it. I'm going to keep doing this. Stop being excited. But it's such a big deal. There's a 1.3 billion of us, but the reality, there's so many more. And every day people are aging into our community, and they don't know what tools are out there. And it's so much buyer beware. Oh no, we're about to deal with a real ugly thing with accessibility about buyer beware. So this is really powerful. How did this happen? We're so excited.
I believe that they had been talking about getting into the accessibility category before I even came to work at Reviewed, which is 2018. I think I was not part of those conversations, and I don't know, but I do know that it's a difficult category to get into ethically, and you need to have the right leadership in place, and you need to approach it with caution, because there's so much out there of reviews of able-bodied people telling disabled people what they need. So I was on staff as the smart home editor, and I had heard whispers of them wanting to get into the accessibility category. And I started doing smart home pieces that also flowed over into accessibility, me making my way over there. Hey, I would be happy to, and I would talk to them. I'm saying, yeah, if you're going to do this, I'm here. I'm happy to participate in whatever way. So the executive editor, Megan Kavanaugh, and I, this is our baby. We've gathered freelancers and we've built the vertical up to be ready for launch. But what makes me so excited about it is that we've been given the freedom to say we are reviewing things like the rest of Reviewed is, in a very particular, careful way. But we're bringing in the people who actually use this stuff. So if it's a product for the deaf, then we have a deaf writer writing about it. And if it's a product for people that need mobility help, we either have the person who needs the help or a caregiver writing about it, depending on what the situation is. So that's something that I know I wish I had in the past, because so much of it is you have to ask somebody else, what did you use, or what works for you? And what works for you may not work for me. And it's hard to say. There's so much trial and error. And especially for people with lifelong disabilities, we've worked through a lot of that stuff. And that can be really helpful for the people who are aging into the need for adaptive products.
And it really is an interesting, there's so many nuances, especially when you're dealing with our community. And as you said, instead of having people review it that don't use it, why don't we actually have the community use it? The people that actually need it using it. But at the same time, Sarah, there's also the challenge of us calling these tools different things in different parts of the world, and the misunderstanding of the words. I remember, and this doesn't happen as much, but I remember I said something about accessibility once to a website owner. And I said, is your website accessible? And he said, yes, you can get on the website 24/7. Okay. All right. I know I can get on the internet 24/7. That's not what I'm asking you. So it's very easy for things to be misunderstood. And now we have all these employers through the Valuable 500 and other efforts stepping up and saying, oh, okay, we really should hire people like Sarah that is so talented and a natural problem solver and an excellent writer. Sorry, she has another job. She's not for hire right now. But people want to find the talent like you, Sarah. And so how are you going to get your hands around even helping even our community totally understand accessibility, adaptive tools, assistive tools? We have multiple names for this stuff.
That was a consideration when we were trying to decide for sure what to call the vertical, because the word accessibility is all over the internet, and it often just means, can it be accessed by a screen reader? And you don't necessarily immediately think of adaptive products. But I think what we're doing right now is going to be what helps to change that. Often when I say what I do, they're like, oh, accessible. What does that mean, accessibility? And I have to explain it, but I'm very hopeful that a company as large as Gannett getting behind this launch and people like you helping to promote it, that we're creating the definition. It was always there, but we are further defining it and making it louder so that everybody's going to be able to understand what they're finding and what they're looking for. I hope. That's my hope.
And I think that's an excellent point, Sarah, because I talk about accessibility a lot, but I talk about it from the lens of, I started talking about it from the lens of web accessibility, but I'm like, wait a minute, years ago, all the products have to be, what about the PCs? What about all of the products? And still, as a society, we're only talking about it from the lens of websites when we're talking about accessibility, but all technology has to be accessible to all human beings. That's just logical. And employers are saying they're going to hire us now. They're going to specifically look for us and bring us in. And that also is challenging because 80% of our community don't look like they have disabilities. I'm neurodiverse and I'm part of the community, but many people don't even realize they're part of our community. And then there's so much infighting in our community because people have been left out for so long. And so people just feel they're just so tired of it.
Yep.
So it really is an important conversation to have. And we really do appreciate that you're leading it and that Gannett is showing this brand leadership. And at a time when we're all looking at corporations and expecting a lot more from them, I think we need to applaud the brands that are including us and hiring us.
Yeah.
So,
and even out in the world, when you see accessibility, it's generally like it's wheelchairs, and God bless them. I'm so happy that they are getting that love, and so many more places are accessible to them, but they're not accessible to me. I can't reach things above my waist, and I can't carry heavy things. And so I was thinking the other day as I was ordering groceries for delivery, I thought, it wasn't that long ago that I had to be really picky about what recipes I chose, because I would go to the grocery store and things, I just couldn't reach them. And it's embarrassing to ask strangers around to help. And now I can just do some clicks on my computer and get everything delivered to my door for me. And that's incredible. And I know that wasn't probably designed as an accessibility tool, but it is. And it's something that you wouldn't, I don't know. It's just something that I was really impressed when I thought about it, how far we've come, even for people like me that aren't in the wheelchair, and that we're getting more visibility. And I've been given the freedom to bring in people with invisible disabilities and rare disabilities to write. And I really love that. It means a lot to me.
it means so much to me too, because like you said, it feels like progress. I know we're not there. I know we've got so much more to do, but I do believe something important is happening. We at least are realizing that we have to support each other, because you can't be successful if we all don't get behind you. And this is for us. You're creating this for all of us. So I think that's very important. And I talk a lot about the Sustainable Development Goals, the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Of the 17 goals, 11 of them directly impact people with disabilities. So it's just time for us to be truly included. Unless I just am very impressed with it. So tell us more about when it's going to launch. There's so many exciting things to talk about, including opportunities for writers with disabilities, which you just mentioned. But that I was already so impressed, but I keep reading more, and then I just get, and I'm so bad about getting all gushy, but I'm just so excited. This is a game changer. This is a game changer.
I think so too. And yeah, it's been live. Our little vertical, which is reviewed.com/accessibility, has been live since I think July, but we haven't been talking about it. We've been just ramping up and getting a lot of content in, but we officially launched last week. So we're being loud about it now, and it's being backed by USA Today because we're part of their network. We've been able to get a lot of social media buzz, and yeah, one of the things that I'm looking for is writer. You can't just get with a vertical like this. You can't just have a stable of writers that these are the ones that write all the time, because there's such a broad community in the disability community, and so many varieties of ways that we are adapting to the world. And so I need a variety of writers, and it's going to change all the time. And also caregivers. Able-bodiedness, if you want to use that term, is a temporary state of being at best. We're all going to need this stuff at some point, even if
we
you just
all need it now. We all need it now.
Right.
It makes our lives easier now.
Right. Even if you just sprain your ankle, you're going to need probably something adaptive to help you. And you may not think of yourself as disabled, but this stuff is for everybody, because everybody's going to need some of it at some point. So we need a variety of voices. And
I agree.
And yeah, so if somebody's listening to this and wants to contact us about it, it's accessibility@reviewed.com. And we would love to talk to you.
And of course, that's the way writers make a living, is they write for different publications. So I love it. I also, as you were talking about your example, I wanted to tell you this another example, because we think about technology, computers and things, but I have a very good friend of mine who is a little person. And she told me one time that one of the best inventions that ever happened for her was the front load dryer, the front dryer. And then she gave me this really funny story about her climbing up and trying to get it open and falling in. And she's a really funny girl anyway, a funny woman, but I hadn't thought about that. So what I think a lot of people don't even realize is, like you said, how you adapt and use these tools. And I'll give you one more example. I have the CEO of Billion Strong, Dr. Lamondre Pugh. He is in a wheelchair, and he's in a power wheelchair. Power wheelchairs are really heavy. But one thing, Shaw Flooring, which does tiles and carpets, The Shaw flooring is a little bit stronger. So he finds that when somebody has put Shaw flooring down, it works better with this wheelchair. And I said, but does Shaw flooring know this
Right.
is a slowing point? We're
Right.
aging. So I just love that aspect of it, because it's where we could go with this. And I say we because the community must get behind this. Where we can go with this is everywhere. Everything has to be accessible. And once again, when you make something accessible, you make it accessible to all of us. It's more user-friendly. It's easier to figure out. Yeah. So I can tell you are already thinking about it, but what are some of the examples? Give us more examples of what could be included in this, because I guess it's up to our imagination.
One of the questions I get asked a lot is, does it have to be an accessibility or adaptive product? And I'm like, no way. If you're using it to adapt to the world in a different way, we can review it. It can be like your favorite can opener, or we had a review of a portable air compressor that somebody uses to pump up his wheelchair tires. And we're all, like I said, especially people with lifelong disabilities, we're finding the stuff that works, and it's often not something that was designed for us. And that's totally fine. The product exists, and so we need to know about it. We need to talk about it. So yeah, there's lots of, I love to see that stuff. Actually, I love to see people being creative and finding what's around them and finding what works. And we want to.
And they're problem solvers. People are problem solvers. And we know this for a fact, that people with disabilities are problem solvers because they have no choice, because society is not accessible to them. It's not accessible to them, even here in the United States. Still, I know that you did some reviews, crock reviews on frozen cooking. I'm probably saying that wrong. And adaptive glasses. And before you address those two, I know that I have a friend of mine that works at Google, and I made some comment about Google glasses, and she said, don't bring it up. That's such an embarrassment. And I said, but Google should not look at that as an embarrassment, because we have to try with technology and build upon it. And you fail so many times when you're figuring it out. But now, because Google did it, now Apple has glasses, and there's other smart adaptive glasses. And yeah,
that's funny that you would bring that up, because I was actually one of the people that were the early adopters that I flew out to California to pick up my pair. And I just remember being on the Google campus and putting these on, and I was able to take a picture standing up. And I have never, because I can't hold a camera in my hands, all of my pictures are from the ground up, sitting in my house getting pictures of my kids. And it blew me away that I could be walking and taking a picture or a video at the same time. And I still have mine. They don't support them anymore, so I can't really use them, but it was really exciting. And I hate that they would be embarrassed about that, because I mean, there was one person,
but I'm like, oh no.
Right.
You should not be embarrassed by that. You were trying, and we appreciate it, and we're going to keep building on the technology.
The other thing I use them for is when I'm traveling, I will just wear them, because people got nervous about being recorded all the time. So it makes me feel safer, because they may not know if I'm recording or not. So when I'm traveling alone, I use it as a safety tool, which is not what it was made for, but here we are.
And once again, we're going back, right? Because we need to know the hacks too. There's this gentleman that I'm going to connect you with he's in Latin America. I'm forgetting which country. I think he's in Colombia, and he has gotten so good at hacking assistive technology or regular technology, and just helping out people with disabilities, people that I know, for example, my husband has late stage dementia due to a traumatic brain injury. And he got to the point, as we're walking this sad journey, that he was struggling. He was starting to really struggle with eating. And so we learned about weighted utensil. And there's so much stuff out there that can actually help my husband on this really hard path. And I remember, speaking of family, my father-in-law in his late 80s became deaf. And we didn't know what to do. He lived in Florida. Everybody else was somewhere else. And I'm supposed to be an expert, but there's just so much about this topic that we all don't know, we all don't share. And that's why, once again, what you're doing is really a game changer, because this is how we start sharing. And there's so many beautiful things that are happening, but this is how we start changing things. And then, like you said, y'all are about employment too. you want to work with these writers. You
Yeah.
want to work with these talented writers.
Right.
And where could this go? It's so exciting where this could go. Sarah, have y'all been working, or should I say, have you gotten some of like the the assistive technology vendors involved? Because they should get involved in supporting this as well.
I think we're new enough that we really haven't gotten a lot of people like behind it yet so much. That's not right. People are really excited about it. But as far as
do more, right?
Partnerships, that is just starting to happen. So this is just the beginning for us. But like you said, the community, there's so much that happens without being loudly promoted. The community is so strong. And like, it reminded me of my daughter. She's wearing an insulin pump, and you're talking about hacking. I have an app that the community helped me build that automatically her sensor talks to her pump and tells it what to do and things like that. It's not FDA approved, but it's something that the community has come together and created, and it's helping so many people, and it's so powerful. It seems the big dogs follow, and we'll figure it out later, and the FDA will approve something similar. But what we can do as a community is it's how that doesn't exist. I don't understand it, but we made it, and their little hashtag is "We're not waiting."
We're not waiting. Yeah.
Right.
Are y'all using a hashtag to promote what you're doing with the accessibility reviews?
We've just been piggybacking on other people's hashtags.
That's fine. I know. I started one today, disability identity. Somebody else started one, disability pride. Yep. So we all just share. We're all in this together.
Right.
But I really love though that you're committed to it from an employer status too. That really warms my heart. And why do they get it? First of all, I can't imagine anybody meets you and said, wow, what a talented individual. What do you think, Sarah? Why,
Well, I think we all want to be warm fuzzy about it, but it is a good business tactic. I'm not going to say that it was just a money thing for them, because I don't think so. From my interactions with upper management and even communications from way above, they're just really dedicated to inclusivity. And this is a whole huge market of people that have been ignored by the reviews, product review space. And yeah, there's a market there for us, but also it's a good thing. Yeah, I was told when we first started this, don't even think about the money, just create the best vertical that you can. And of course, money will follow, but that's not my focus at all. That wasn't our focus at all. Building it, it was about who can we serve, who needs it, what writers are ready, and willing to talk about their stories. And that is the cool thing also, is that when I get an article, it's rarely, here's a product, I tried it, it worked this way. It's almost always here's my story, this is why it matters so much to me. So it's really cool to see people able to share that, because it just doesn't get shared all that much about why this matters and who these people are that use it. And we get to talk about that a lot.
You just reminded me of something when you said that, because often, and you had said this earlier in the interview, people with disabilities are talked about by people that don't have disability, or maybe they do have one. And I got to tell you, I have a disability. I'm neurodiverse. And I believe that right now representation matters, really matters, and really considering all the intersections. And I was talking to Dr. Lamondre Pugh, who's the CEO of Billion Strong. And, he said, if we did nothing else, but our community just came together to support each other, to hire from each other, to help each other, to give each other reviews, we could change the world for us alone. And so what are we each doing to make sure you are wildly successful? Because the more successful this is at Review.com, but it's just true, Sarah, the more successful you are, the more we all win. Everybody wins. I just think telling the stories are so important, and talking about the hacks and how we're using it. Once again, the products, the people that are creating the products, they don't even know sometimes how we're using their. And I'll tell you another thing that's dangerous is that another thing I like about what you're doing is that right now, like when legislators and stuff want to change laws or update things, they'll go to the disability community and they'll ask them questions about technology, for example. Just because a person has a disability doesn't mean they're a technology expert. So you've got to go to the people that are the experts, as you have said. So what an opportunity for corporations to learn. What is our community like? And one thing Dr. Lamondre said last night, there's an issue happening with accessibility right now, and I won't go into it. It's about web accessibility, which is important. But I was telling him about what was happening, and the consultants are all fighting and blah, blah, blah. And he said, okay, Deborah, but what does the community think? I said, oh, the community's not involved in the conversation. And he's, but we are the ones that are, it's about us. So
Right.
in a way, we don't even care what the consultants think. This is about our community. Why are we not out there talking about this? So of course he's going to, but we can't talk about it if we don't have efforts like yours. We can't. So
Yeah.
give us some more examples of products and where you want to go with it. And maybe even if you don't mind, tell us more about Reviewed.com as a whole, because this is a really good website. And I didn't know about it. I'm so embarrassed because I could really have used it, because I just got a refrigerator that I would not recommend. So
Yeah, we review all sorts of things, including refrigerators. We have labs in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and there's a scientist there that helps us to come up with our testing rubrics and things like that. Everything is very, very scientific as when it can be. I think with accessibility, it's a little different, because the best can opener, I'm going to go back to that. It may not be the best can opener for everybody, but there may be something about it that makes it the best for me. The testing is really for accessibility. It's really living it and finding what works. But for the majority of our stuff that can be tested, it's very rigorously tested. And that's a big deal to us. That's what makes us, is that we're science. We love science. Yeah, it's so helpful. And I am constantly going to my colleagues and being like, I'm buying this, or my parents are buying this. What's the best one? And I believe what they tell me. And that's what a testament to that is, that I see what they do. And when they recommend something to me personally, or to my parents, or to my friends, I feel very confident giving them that recommendation. But yeah, some of the things that we've recently covered on accessibility, you mentioned the What a Crock meals. It's so awesome. I love their name, but
I do too.
They've basically taken family recipes and they'll cook them up and freeze them and send them to you. And all you do is literally just dump it out of a bag into your crock pot. And it's a meal. I love it so much. And I love it that it's frozen, because if you don't want, you just throw it in the freezer and wait till you're having a lazy day and then use it. But cooking is difficult for me. And I hate to leave all the cooking to my husband. So it's really nice to have an option that it's sitting in the freezer, it's waiting. And if he's having a day where he doesn't want to cook, I can chip in. So that's another example of a product that probably wasn't designed for people with disabilities, but it's great for us. It's so helpful.
It's just so important in that. I love their name, What a Crock, but that they know how you're using it. I mean, I think that is a huge part we've been missing. Once again, Shaw Flooring, he told me that years ago. I said, does anybody ever told Shaw Flooring that?
Yeah.
Do they know these things? Because a lot of us are aging and moving into wheelchairs. Like you said, it's not just about wheelchairs. It's not just about people that are blind. We're a huge community. We have to come together with pride. I also want to say, and Sarah's talked about this, aging in place and smart homes, but as I've gotten into my 60s, arthritis has come for me. And gosh darn it, I went to open up some paint cans the other day. And what you have to do is you have to hold them and you have to squeeze it and then pop it off. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get the stupid. I was knocking it around. I was kicking it. Guess what? That still didn't work, Deborah. And I thought, yeah. Wow, because little things, just little stupid things like that. It's
not little, like all that stuff adds up. When you're frustrated all day long because nothing is designed for you, that's no way to live, and it sucks. And that's part of there's stuff out there that'll help, but if you don't know about it, if you don't have it, then what good is it doing you? So that's what we want to help with.
Yeah, it's just discouraging.
Yes.
It's also the Levo-G2 tablet. What about that one?
The tablet stand, which I'm using right now. I use a Surface Pro when I work usually, and that's like a giant tablet. And as the day goes on, my back starts to hurt because I'm typing with my feet and it's just a weird way to sit.
Right.
So I will move around the house. I'll sit in different chairs. I'll lay in bed. And this tablet stand is amazing because it can hold my heavy tablet and just have it in any position, which I have not found in other. Usually I'll put it in a tablet stand and it'll just, I'm craning my neck to see it. And then that's totally defeating the purpose. But this stand, I can sit on the floor and use it. I can stand up and use it. It's amazing. And yeah, I recently wrote about that because it took me a long time to find it. And I want other people to be able to find it faster than I did.
Yes. And we'll make sure that we provide the links to the 3 things that, once again, you can just go to review.com to the accessibility, and you should. And I thought it was really cool. I'm going to look at my notes here, but I really thought it was cool that we could sign up for texts.
Oh yeah, we have a subtext program where there's actual people. We get questions sent to us from people that just are looking for a toaster and they want to know the best one. And the person who mans the subtext program will ask us, will ask the experts and give you an answer. Like, it's really cool that there's a direct line to us and we will help you find the best thing if you haven't found it yet.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, that's great.
It's such a good resource for so many people, for teachers, for caregivers, for employers, for individuals with disabilities, for people that love somebody that has aged into a disability. It's so hard. I was sitting by a woman on an airplane one time, and she was talking to me about her father having a stroke, and she's hard enough that it happened, but we don't even know how to help him.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know how, and he's so frustrated. It's really cruel the way we treat people. It's cruel. And I just really appreciate the work that you're doing, Sarah, and everybody behind you. Tell us how to contact you. I know you're on Twitter, you're on social media, but also, and give us the websites and stuff, but tell us how we can help you. You've already told us ways, but is there anything else that the community can do to really get behind you? I know that at Billion Strong, we have 95 country partners. So we're going to tell them about it. I know Billion Strong is going to make a big deal about this because this is so important to us. But how do we really help you be successful?
I think just... I don't see anything bigger than everybody just talking about it. Send it to other people. If you have an occupational therapist you work with, share it with them, because I know they're always looking for solutions also. But it really almost needs to be a grassroots kind of a thing, because there's no big search engine term that we can latch onto because this hasn't existed before. So we just need to talk about it. We need to share it with the people that we love and the people that are looking for these products. Contact me. You can find me on Twitter. It's at Sarah Kovac, SarahKovac, or you can email us at accessibility@reviewed.com. And that's if you're looking for a product or you're a writer and you want to contribute. We're all ears. Really what we need most is just for people to talk about it, because this hasn't existed before. This is groundbreaking. And that means that there's no Google, there's no search, there's no really way to get to people other than you tell them. If you have a friend that's needing these kind of things, or your parent is aging, or you have an occupational therapist who you think might be able to use, our reviews, please just talk about it. Share it on social, shout it from the rooftops, because that's what we need. That's the only way this will be successful, is if people talk about it.
Yep. And we have to support each other. We don't have to, none of us are competitors. We all win by helping each other.
You've been listening to Human Potential at Work, brought to you by Rue Global Impact. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you consume your audio. To learn more about Rue Global Impact and the services we provide, visit rueglobal.com. To learn more about how you can become a sponsor of Human Potential at Work, email David at rueglobal.com. That's David at rueglobal.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back next time with a new episode.